Hello, social workers, mental health professionals, and change agents. Welcome to another episode of season 6 of the Social Work Rants podcast. I'm your host, Bash Moreno. Saludos a todos. Greetings, everybody. Thank you for tuning in, tapping in wherever you are watching or listening to this podcast. I appreciate all the love and support. Gracias a todos por su apoyo. Make sure you continue to tap in on Instagram at the Social Work Rants podcast. That's all one word. Follow the podcast on Twitter at Social Work Rants and hit the like button. Type in the Social Work Rants podcast on Facebook, aka Meta, and to tap in. And of course, the rest subscribe button on YouTube. Uh, Again, thanks for watching, liking, liking the posts, liking the memes, and having engaged conversation and in terms of education and also entertainment. Um, and which leads to me to my disclaimer: this podcast is intended for education or entertainment purposes only. Uh, this podcast is not to be a substitute for therapy or any sort of mental health treatment. If you need assistance, if you're in the US, please call 911, or if you're out of the country, whatever is your local emergency mental health service line, please use that. Seek help is okay. Not to be okay, but definitely seek the help that you need. Um, and this episode is brought to you by Bass City Entertainment, your home for online holistic self-care, featuring poetry and Zumba classes, featuring my poetry book, Triumph Through Pain, How to Maximize Your Full Potential During Hard Times, available on Amazon and also available. If you reach out to me directly, I could personalize it for you, and I'll put the link in the show notes. And now I got all that out the way. My guest at this time is Lindsay Malhotra. Am I pronouncing it correctly?
Yeah, great job.
Out of Dallas, and you will be hearing Dallas quite a bit, and it has nothing to do with the football team and nothing to do with the basketball team. It's definitely a upcoming social work event that's happening in March for Social Work Month. So I'll talk about it more in details as soon as I get more details. All I know is I'm participating. I'll be in Dallas for it'll be my first time down there. So excited, looking forward to it. So that's the most I got as of this recording. So Lindsay, how you doing this evening?
I am doing good, Beth. Thank you so much for having me on your podcast. This is just a wonderful opportunity, and I can't wait for us to meet in person in March in Dallas.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm looking forward to
Yeah,
meeting. It's funny how we went through. Well, we still going through a pandemic and
yeah,
watching on the news, and China's going through it like it never left
yeah,
currently. So it's like and meeting people who I've interviewed, who share a book with, like see IG lives and to see people finally in person is like, oh snap! So
yeah. I
it's
know.
funny. It,
Yeah, it's exciting almost to like actually like physically see them, and you're like, it's like meeting them all over again, even though you've been on so many different Zoom calls. It's like a brand new person almost.
yeah, it's some for me. It is like it is a new person because like you look taller in person or look shorter in person or it's like you you just look
Yeah.
different compared to on Zoom. So like some people actually do look different from Zoom to in person. So
Yes.
it's like, and it's not to do
Yeah.
with a filter or anything. It's just I guess the however Zoom like presents you like oh snap like I didn't recognize you.
Yeah.
So it's funny.
I know. Yeah. Well, I look forward to us meeting. That's going to be exciting in March, happening in Dallas. So yeah, I look forward to connecting with other social workers, especially in the Hispanic population.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially there's the news may and we'll get more into it because I like to know like the real deal of what you're seeing. And I know I've talked about on the
Mhm.
podcast a little bit about like uh the immigration stuff. I mean, that's kind of like out of my like scope of practice per se, but at the same time, like I just don't like that. No, the media, and I'm not media bashing, but how the media only focuses on us, like Latinos,
Sure.
like crossing the border, and it's like it's not just us that are crossing the
Yeah.
border, but all you see is like
Yes.
Latinos for South America, Central America crossing, and they the ones being interviewed, and it's like, you
Yeah.
know, there's people coming
I
from an
feel
airplane and like or on boats trying to come here, so it's like don't just focus on
yeah.
us.
Absolutely. I had to turn off the news after a minute because I'm like, it's not just us, and it's like every other story right now. So yeah.
Yeah. So, quick question that we get more into about you. Why did the Governor Abbott win again? Like, what's up with Texas?
Oh, I I don't know. Um, and it to be honest with you, I'm originally from San Antonio,
Okay,
and well, I'm from more south of San Antonio. It's a smaller town, and I was actually rooting for Uvalde to vote more for Bethel, and I figured they would, especially considering all the trauma that they've gone through this year with the school shooting,
right.
and it was all Abbott. So that to be honest kind of disappointed me. But I don't know. I think it's a bunch of older population that stays connected and stays voting for Abbott. The younger population is trying, and we're getting there. But a lot of Latinos are still voting for Abbott. I mean, everyone in South Texas, or majority of them are Latinos, and they're all voting for Abbott. So yeah.
Why do you think that is? Because between like Abbott, we had 4 years. I call it more than 4 years because I include Trump's candidacy before he won, like
Yeah.
the last year, the year and a half before he actually won, and all the nonsense he said and did, and also Florida, and so many like Latinos just like gravitate, and I don't get it. I'm like learning to try to understand. And I understand a little bit more than I did, like I say, like 2016 or something like that. But just like hearing people like talking on the news or even within like family or like close circles of like I don't get it.
You know, I a part of me likes to think a lot of it is due to how Latinos aren't very educated. Unfortunately, it's like 1 in 4 of Hispanic females have a master's degree. So it's not very educated. No, not 1 in 4, sorry, 4%
Mm,
that carry a master's degree. So I think the lack of education has something to do with the fact that we're continuing to vote for Abbott because Beto is really big on expanding education, and he's done the research, and even in his speeches and when he goes out, he makes big situations real simple, and he kind of just grabs a big audience and makes things real simple to try to reach, I believe, the Latino community. But I think a lot of it has to do with the lack of education and resources that we still are going through that allows us to not be very open-minded. That's what I think, at least, has to do with a big portion of it.
now even when Beto ran for Senate, that kind of I think he had a better chance of winning governor than he did when he ran for Senate, but it was close enough that he was kind of like we kind of already like all done with with Ted Cruz and
Yeah.
with his nonsense, and especially the power grid incident that happened in
Oh my.
Texas, and he ended up in Cancun.
Yes. And I
And
mean,
he still won. I was like, I don't get it.
yeah, I don't get it. I really don't, and it upsets me. It really does because I have such a passion for wanting to educate the Hispanic culture and letting them know is like there's resources. There's so much more out there. And if you just dive deep and know, your whole thought process will change, on politics, on certain, topics in the world. But I don't know. I think a lot of it just has to do with um, lack of education. And, the Latino community, at least in my perspective, we can be a little stubborn and closed-minded. So
Well, I definitely see
yeah,
a lot of that in my close
yeah,
circles. So
yeah,
but it was like it just doesn't, especially like I look at it from obviously from a social work mental health lens, and it's like a lot of stuff that Republicans in general do, like it is not in the benefit of Latinos, is not, it doesn't benefit a lot of African Americans,
mm,
unless you got money, like you benefit of like the tax breaks and stuff, but day to day, like housing, food stamps, like Medicare,
yeah,
Medicaid, like those are the first things that get cut. And I don't have the statistics, but generally every 4, 8, 10 years, like when there's a cut that's happening, is usually a Republican in office that's doing the cuts. Look what Trump did, like 2017, cut like the food stamps, and
mm,
working with clients, severely mentally ill clients in residential that like who rely on food stamps to buy their, like, why is my food stamp being cut? And it's like
yeah,
on top of like their like non-compliance to medications, that they worry about their money, and that's like
yeah,
another trigger for like stuff that happens. So it's like, and trying to explain, well, the government cut your food stamps, so it's not much
yeah.
I could do to help you. You just got to learn how to budget the little that you have. That you have. That's all we could do.
Yes, yes. I'm telling you, it's something that I just keep scratching my head about because I'm like, man, what is it? We're so close every time. And then it just frustrates me, and then I turn my frustration into trying to get the word out, and so I'm trying out here. Yeah.
And especially we're getting older as a nation. Like people are living longer, so why would you
Hmm.
want to cut like Medicare for seniors? Why you want to cut like the food stamps that they're going to need the extra money to supplement
Yes,
their income?
I
Like
know.
it just doesn't make sense.
Yeah,
And you
yeah, it doesn't
and
make sense.
you talk about mental health, and we need more mental health services. Well, guess what? A lot of outpatient clinics rely on Medicaid dollars to keep open their doors for treatment, and if you cut their money, then agencies are going to close. So it's like
Yes. Yeah, I'm
it's a
telling
domino
you.
effect.
Yes, yeah, that's the word I'm looking for. It's like it just keeps going, and one domino falls and the next one hits, and it's just ever going. So yeah.
No, I know we went on an important tangent.
Rants, yeah.
But
We went on a little rant.
I did. Yes, the whole point of the show is to
Yeah.
do these rants every once in a blue,
Oh, I
but
love it.
but it's important just to get people to know at least your perspective. You live in Texas, and I never, the closest west I've gone to was like somewhere like PA. I think like Lancaster was like the furthest west I've been
Oh,
in
wow.
this country. So like to get a perspective and let the listeners like who may never been to Dallas or never been to Texas period, just have a perspective as to what what exactly is going on, like boots on the ground that you see it, day in, day out, and what what we don't always hear on the news or and stuff like that. So I'm glad
Yeah.
we started the conversation
Yeah,
with that.
absolutely.
So let people know who you are, what you do in our wonderful, yet challenging field of social work.
Oh, yeah. Well, my name is Lindsay, and I am a social worker in Texas. I started my career. I act like I've been doing this forever, but I've only been doing this for 4 years.
Okay.
I started in 2018. Um, yeah, it was 2008 or no, yeah, 2018. I went to the University of Texas at Arlington and I got my bachelor's and master's in social work. And that's in the DFW Metroplex in North Texas. I'm originally from south of San Antonio. It's a small town called Poteet, Texas. Very small. If you blink, you'll miss it. About 2,000 people. So I usually just tell people I'm from San Antonio. I'm a first generation graduate student. I am a daughter of immigrants and also a granddaughter of an immigrant. So we grew up in a very Hispanic household. And when I was in high school, I just knew I wanted to help people. And my high school didn't have much resources on really what you can do with your life. But I did have a lot of motivation and passion. My mom was very big on us getting an education. So I went to UT Arlington and I learned about social work and I said, that's what I want to do. So I ended up, like I said, getting my bachelor's and master's in social work. And I moved to Dallas, which is Arlington and Dallas are about 30 minutes away from each other.
Okay.
So I moved to Dallas and I started working as an intern at a substance abuse treatment center called Nexus Recovery Center. I also interned at UT Southwestern. It's a large hospital here, working specifically with pregnant females who were addicted to an opiate. So it was specifically pregnant individuals that were on maintenance assisted treatment. So that was kind of the entryway to what I'm currently doing in the substance abuse field of social work. So I didn't really plan on actually working with substance use. I specifically wanted to work with veterans. San Antonio is known as Military City, USA, because it has every single base there from Navy to Marine Corps, Army. So I grew up around veterans and that's really all I knew. And I figured I wanted to help them. And whenever I moved to Dallas, I was introduced to the substance use field. And I love it. I absolutely love working with women. I currently oversee 3 different outpatient programs at Nexus Recovery Center in Dallas. We're a treatment center that only serves females.
Okay.
And we serve also women and children, pregnant women at any stage of their pregnancy. These women are able to bring up to 3 children with them that are actively parenting into treatment with them. So that way we believe that a mother does best with their children and families do best for unified and together. So we do have services that also treat the children for mental health, play therapy, and while mom is getting individual and group counseling throughout the day. So we have up to 90-day treatment and also a 28-day treatment program. Nexus has a wide variety of treatment programs, such as the one I oversee is outpatient. And I also oversee 2 peer support programs, which I oversee recovery coaches. The fancy word for them is peer specialist, because they also have experience in active addiction. So they don't see clients the way perhaps like a social worker would.
Right.
They see them as peers and as equals and kind of just advocate and walk alongside them on their journey. Versus as a social worker, we have more of a therapeutic hat, more case management hat to work alongside them. So like I said, I've been doing this for 4 years now. I've joined the leadership team at Nexus about 2 years ago. So I've just been having a lot of fun, learning a whole lot, meeting wonderful people, and just basically soaking in everything I can. I'm a young professional, and I'm very motivated and inspired specifically to also help the Latino community. It's more because I know the struggle, and I know that it takes almost extra work as a Hispanic to get somewhere, whether it be to get a higher education even. You've got to jump through several more hoops. So I'm very passionate about really working with Hispanic social workers and putting more of a light over mental health, not just in the Dallas area alone, but within social work in general, and also the Hispanic population. So that's a little bit about me. Like I said, I just have a lot of fun. I mean, every day I truly can say that I'm having a lot of fun. I mean, yes, there's some days that are like so hard, and then you're like, why? Like, why am I a social worker? Like, why did this happen to me? You know?
No,
And
so
then
true.
it's like a double-edged sword. I fully have realized that, because it's like you're you're doing this outwardly to help people and to guide people and to want to see people thrive in life. But then because you know what you know, it like messes with your head too. You're like, oh, Lindsay, you should be practicing self-care. You should be doing all of this. And then I'm like, oh no, it's like the social worker goes in my brain. Yeah.
No, no,
Yeah.
yes. How long has Nexus been around?
Nexus has been around for 52 years.
Oh wow.
Yeah, for
Oh,
52 years. And we are one of the few treatment centers in the state of Texas that allow women to bring their children. So it's a very unique treatment center, because, you know, it's almost, there may be some that may disagree with that dynamic of like, oh, why would she bring her children with her to rehab?
right.
That's not a very safe environment. But Nexus does a fantastic job over the past 52 years of creating such a safe and secure environment for these women who are actively parenting, to find out what motherhood is like, to find recovery, and to find what being a family is all over again. So it's a wonderful work that happens there. I mean, it's almost as if miracles are happening. I don't know the exact number of how many acres we have, but it used to be a college campus several years ago.
Mm.
And so it's different dorms. There's different dorms set up and offices, and you would picture it almost like a college campus because there's sidewalks and benches and everything. But I like to say miracles are just happening on campus daily, you know, with women finding recovery and finding motherhood and really just their purpose on their journey.
Oh, that's beautiful. Shoot, I wish I had
Yeah.
that resource to 2009,
Yeah.
2010, like 2014. So no, that's great. Now I know there was no no there's a good chunk of women who never had an issue. It's like substance use, and then they have a baby. I was go through, the trials, tribulations of labor, and they have a baby, and then whether it be C-section or what have you, might get an epidural, and then they might have like some issues. So there's like they were opiates. That's basically what
Mhm.
happened, with my ex-wife and stuff like that, and then
Mm,
they get hooked on it. Like, do you see that?
mm.
Do you have like a certain population where at Nexus after like childbirth and end up being like getting hooked on pills or whatever?
Uh, I would say that with my experience thus far, it that can almost be a myth in a way, because people also believe like, oh well, if she's been using substances her entire pregnancy, that her child, the baby, will come out with certain birth defects. Which, of course, yes, we do see that from time to time, but it's nowhere near like you would think it's every single pregnancy or
Mm,
childbirth, and that is not true. And a lot of times when the mother delivers her baby and she is diagnosed with a substance use disorder prior, and then she goes to deliver her baby, uh, it's that emotional connection when she has her baby that almost lights up her world of, I'm ready to change. I'm ready to find recovery. I'm ready to work on myself. It's almost like a mental shift in a way. Of course, postpartum depression is real and
mm,
that does happen. But as I was mentioning, we have wonderful partnerships and advocates and counselors who they get to bring their baby home with them after treatment or after they deliver. that while they're in treatment, they're able to, be seen and really be checked on to be sure if they're showing any signs of postpartum depression. We really try to intervene as quickly as possible and provide that support to where they don't leave and have postpartum depression and then end up continuing to use or whatever. Of course, like I said, we do see that is a part of the work we do, but at Nexus, our whole goal is to try to minimize as much as possible of that.
Oh, no, that's really great. And I know I've seen stuff that, you mentioned postpartum, depression, and kind of like a beginning push for women to at least see a counselor after having a baby and have those conversations, or at least do a postpartum depression screening after having the baby. I mean, it's like the infancy stage of that, but that stuff is currently happening. Or are you seeing any of that stuff currently?
Yeah, and you know what? I have a twin sister, and my twin sister gave birth in May, and I was there with her throughout the whole process. It was her first baby, so I was there with her, and I had never seen this before, and I had told the nurses I'm a social worker, and I was there. She was in the hospital for about 2-3 days, so I'm talking to all the nurses, like, yeah, I'm a social worker in Dallas, And then when it was like 20 minutes before she was going to be discharged, the baby was good, she was good, and she was about to be discharged, and the nurse was like, we have to have you fill out this packet. And we were like, another piece of paper? What could it be? And I had sat by her, and it was a packet on postpartum depression. And working with pregnant women, I'd never seen that before. I was like, what in the world? So I asked to see it, and it was a pretty thick packet, and it was just questions like, do you feel depressed when you woke up in the hospital today? Yes or no? Or like, on a scale from 1 through 10, how anxious are you? And then at the end, a social worker came in and kind of calculated it all, was basically like, you're good to go or stay behind. I don't know what type of score she needed to score for the social worker to like keep her behind. Right. She didn't score high enough for them to keep her behind. But anyways, that was new to me, that this is what's happening in the hospitals, of prior to them leaving, they're being assessed for postpartum depression. Now, in my professional opinion, I don't think the signs may show early as 48 hours, like my sister. It could be a month in or 6 weeks in. Everyone is different when it comes to that. But anyways, so now I do know that in Texas that this is happening, that they are stopping them, assessing them prior to them exiting the hospital. But my mind was just stirring up. I'm like, this should be done at maybe her 6-week checkup or something, because maybe she's feeling all of these feelings in 6 weeks from now. So, yeah.
Well, I'm glad that at least it's something that, I think 40 hours is like a tad early. You still like, you're still on that high and just like having the baby.
Yes, that's what I was like. But it was just so interesting to me because, and I'm sure my clients who deliver and end up staying in the hospital for 48 hours, whatever, and come back and show me their baby and everything's good, I'm sure they've also had to fill out that paperwork. It was just probably they didn't think anything of it because they'd already filled out so many papers. So.
I would have asked for a blank copy and then presented it like, look what they're doing in the hospital. Can we use this as a tool for us?
Yeah, I should have actually. And that social worker was so sweet and stuff, but it was just new to me. But yeah, of course, like I said, we do see, definitely we see women experience postpartum depression. And then having a substance use disorder on top of that is very hard. And it is a misconception that if you are actively parenting, you don't have a substance use disorder. But at Nexus, we can definitely verify that women are struggling, especially that are actively parenting or that just had a baby or just found out that they're pregnant. A substance use disorder does not discriminate. And a lot of people believe so, which that is a myth.
Yeah. What substances are you seeing most prevalent? I know people talking about fentanyl like crazy, but
Yeah.
But what substances are you seeing at Nexus?
Uh, I would, I don't know the exact data, but I would say what I'm seeing a lot is methamphetamine and fentanyl. We've seen an increase in fentanyl. Methamphetamine, opiates, um, those are usually the main ones that we see. Cocaine is, I mean, we see cocaine a lot, but not nearly as much, I would say, as methamphetamine or opiates. We have seen an increase in fentanyl. And in 2021, Dallas County had 447 overdoses.
Wow.
Yeah, I believe it's Dallas County or the state of Texas. I do know it was 447 overdoses though. And the increase in fentanyl has so much to do with that, unfortunately. I mean, and a lot of our clients are saying that they didn't even know that they test positive for fentanyl. They may walk in our door and say, "Oh, well, my last date of use was yesterday and cocaine," and we may test them, and it's also fentanyl, and they don't know that, and it's scary because it can be in anything.
Yeah. Well, lucky that they even alive to even tell you that.
Yeah, yeah, no kidding. I mean, it's so dangerous, and it could take you out so quick. Um, it's very scary, and a lot of the younger population is getting their hands on fentanyl.
Yeah, yeah, I've been seeing a lot of stuff, even like just touching it, they die, not even like using it, you just accidentally touching it, and it's like could kill you. So it's
Yeah.
very scary, especially got young ones and just anybody just by accident, or even like you trying to you wanted to smoke marijuana, like people
Mm.
just lace like anything
Yeah.
nowadays. So
Yeah.
it's a scary time. I think it's probably like fentanyl is really taking it to like the extreme. I grew up like the crack cocaine era and from the 80s, and
Mm.
seeing crack vials on the floor and like needles and stuff, and at the beginning of the AIDS epidemic and stuff like
Mm.
that. So like, but like, and it was scary then, but fentanyl is taken to a whole new level, and
Yeah.
it's scary. It's a scary time.
Oh yeah. Um, so our goal at Nexus is obviously to decrease the amount of overdoses that's happening in Dallas and the state of Texas. So the peer support programs that I oversee is doing a wonderful job in reaching people that are out in the streets or homeless shelters or have nowhere to live or are living in unsafe environments to really try to put them in a safe, stable environment. If they need treatment, to get them into our treatment center, and really begin to treat them and intervene to avoid, like we're saying, a sudden death or an overdose and then ending up in the hospital and changing their whole life. So
No. Um,
yeah.
yeah, it's what are you seeing like in terms of like in Dallas or just in Texas as a whole, in terms of like what do you feel like the local and state government could be doing more in terms of substance use, in your or just in social work in general to really help people like kind of thrive day in day out.
Yeah, well, I think about two things that come to my mind, and the first one would be the social work exam. I have been talking with other colleagues about this and how it's really not very fit for the Latino community. The questions are worded in a more challenging aspect that those of us who are bilingual, it's very hard to understand. And Hispanics actually have the highest rate of failing the exam, the social work exam. So that puts a barrier already over anything of getting social workers out in the field and getting people to start working and making a difference. So that's the one major thing that I see, and I would really like to see some changes and some more advocacy on Hispanic social workers, mental health clinicians, LPCs, really anyone in the helping field to get more just more light on what we need and how to meet our needs if they want us out there. So that would be one major thing. And then a second thing would be funding, of course. We do lack in a lot of funding when it comes to substance abuse, females, pregnant women. We can use a whole lot more funding to change a whole lot more lives, really. But I think funding is also a big barrier in a lot of nonprofits, not just in Dallas, but all over.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and then, like I said, especially when it comes to substance use, that's a very hard topic for a lot of people, especially people in the government and local state level. So it's almost like you're on a seesaw. Like, can you help me? Can you not? Can you help me? Can you not?
Right.
This is what we can do. This is what we need. Maybe not. So it's kind of like going back and forth. But really, funding and education are huge, huge things that can make the world of a difference for us. And I would like to say that again, I don't have all the experience or knowledge in the world, but I think Dallas does a pretty fantastic job on trying to intervene and meet the needs of the Hispanic community and also just the community that needs assistance, whether it be anything from homelessness, substance use, immigration, financial needs, housing, um, really, I mean, therapy, mental health services, medication, anything along those lines. I think Dallas, maybe it's because I'm from Poteet, Texas, a small town, and I'm like so amazed that there's all this stuff out there in the world. Maybe that could be a part of it, but I think that Dallas they do a pretty good job at being very dynamic and trying to meet the needs. But like we talked about earlier, is I mean, how far can we go when majority of our leaders in the government level is more so leaning on the end of substance use or nonprofit. I don't know about y'all. So
Yeah. No,
yeah.
no, it's so true. That's why like local races matter, like, you know, even like school board stuff, state senates, obviously, governor, governorship matters, and yeah, you guys are stuck with
Yeah.
with Abbott for,
Yeah. Oh no,
for
not for
four more
life.
4 more years.
4 more years. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Oof.
And who knows with Mr. Cruz how long he's gonna last.
Oh man, I don't know, but that's why I'm very big on trying to get my voice heard and advocating and doing all that I can, not just for my clients, but for my colleagues and just for everyone in the Hispanic community. It's so crucial. Uh, the help that we need, and here in Texas, there's a lot of us. So
Yeah, even just educating people, just the electoral process. So, if you vote for this person, what that actually would mean for you on a day in day out basis. If they just see a name and they recognize the name, oh, like you've been the governor or you've been like the senator forever. Like I don't know this new person if it's gonna change or
yeah,
not. Like so it's like, all right, I'm gonna guess I people just sometimes people just vote based on like, okay, I recognize the name, I just gonna keep voting for you. And then people, I think now people are starting to like kind of open up. I think that's one of like the good things of pandemic is that people kind of like open their eyes and kind of see some, depending on who or what, day in day out, like sometimes it doesn't even matter like who the president
Yeah.
stuff is going to happen regardless.
Yes.
Who's the president, stuff is going to happen regardless who's in charge. But then other things like, okay, like the election really matters because day in day out this could affect me in this way or that way. And
Yeah.
I know I've changed in terms of, okay, who's going to help. I mean, a politician's going to be a politician, but who day in day out, how is my life going to be impacted, and how are you going to change my life for better or worse day in day out, and kind of make a
Yeah.
decision based on that. So, and everybody's different in different circumstances. So it's really definitely a unique dynamic in terms of
Yes.
a society, and we all still deal with the PTSD of COVID, and now we got it's flu season, cold and cough, RSV,
Yes. Yes.
cold, more COVID strains, and
Yeah.
it's just a lot.
Oh yeah. It's a daily battle, like you're saying. It's like who is going to assist you on a day-to-day basis, and a lot of the Hispanic community, like I said, just lacks an education in that aspect.
Now, what is Dallas? What do you see in Dallas in terms of immigration? Since we kind of touch on that. Like no, I live in Delaware, so I get all my major stations come from Philly, and obviously Philly had like uh, a bus full of people coming from Texas, and like
Mm.
Delaware was supposed to have a bus, but it never came,
Oh wow.
and I know other cities like New York had, and like Massachusetts had a bus full of people. Like, well, what exactly is going on from like what you've seen, or what you heard, or like or the news down there, or just from you talking to other people?
Yeah, I think yeah, I really want to expand my knowledge on immigration because it's not something that I feel like a subject matter expert on.
Yeah.
But being from South Texas, very, I my hometown's about maybe an hour from the border. Uh, so being so close over there, I do know it is a thing over there. I mean, it's in San Antonio. It's um, I wouldn't use the word dangerous per se, but I would say it's almost getting there because of the immigration and people crossing the border illegally. Not all of them cross the border legally, obviously, but um, more so, and then being close to Austin, it's a lot of, I would say, lack of education and racism that goes on more in South Texas. Because it's almost as if, like, as I mentioned before, like I'm a daughter of immigrants, but not if, just because you're Hispanic in South Texas means that you are too.
Right.
And it's almost as if you're looked at as you are. And then when I come to Dallas, it's a huge city, a metroplex, millions of people, and it's like a whole different world. Being from San Antonio and South Texas, is yes, majority of us are immigrants, and you come up here, and it's not as a thing as it is down there. Um, I mean, I have seen a few clients. I do have a few friends and colleagues that are dealing with immigration issues, but uh, maybe because it's not in, like I said, a subject matter expertise of mine that I
Mm-hmm.
know, but I don't think it's as large in Dallas as it is in South Texas, because for sure it's a thing in South Texas. I
Gotcha.
mean, it's scary because Hispanics are looked at or looked down upon. Um, and like I said, it's almost as if it's like expected, like, oh, you're Hispanic, you're from San Antonio, you're from the Valley, or you're from El Paso or Laredo, like how'd you get here? And it's like, what do you mean? I was born here. So, and then it creates discrepancy, and then people are wanting to leave the South Texas area, and then more individuals from Mexico are coming. So it just creates chaos, is the best word to describe. And then people try to come up more north to Dallas to flee the chaos that's happening in South Texas. And then they find lack of resources here, lack of support, and it's not, like I said, as more Hispanic focused as it is in South Texas up here.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I hate it, and I really want to make a difference because it's Hispanics need to be heard in Dallas. Dallas is very diverse, which I enjoy, but like maybe because I have access and the financial access to resources, but a lot of my people don't, and I really want to help them.
Yeah, I mean, I work with a lot of immigrants as well. A good chunk are from Haiti, so it's like all right, like unless down in South Delaware is like huge, like a couple chicken plants. There's a lot of farmland, so a lot of them work at the chicken plants and stuff. So it's like kind of hard, like in terms of like navigating in terms of finances and like they're here in the country, legally, like they have their green card or like resident card, or they have their passports and stuff, but they can't get access to Medicaid because they're not a U.S. citizen. So it's like, all right, in terms of they need medication, so we got to kind of like figure out a way how to like meet their needs, but at the same time, is always hit a wall to try to like fully like help them. Right? And
Yeah.
so I see that, and it's like it makes things hard. Is that you want to try to help people and
Absolutely.
meet them where they're at, but it's like we stuck.
Yeah, that's the thing, is like we feel stuck, and that's why I'm very excited about working with other Hispanic social workers, because it's like, okay, they understand that we're stuck, so since we're all on the same page about how stuck we are, like we're able to make a difference and get out of being stuck, versus just one person saying, hey, we're stuck, and everyone else is like, no, you're just stuck. But it's like we're all stuck and we're all moving in the right direction of creating a voice for Hispanics. So
Yeah, and it kind of goes back to the beginning of our conversation, is that there are a lot of Latino Hispanics who don't feel like we stuck,
yeah.
and which is why they are going to keep voting for Ted Cruz, or vote for Rubio, vote for Abbott, vote for DeSantis.
Yeah.
DeSantis was already rumblings of him running for president in 2024, and I got family members who love him, and I was like, I'm like, why?
Yeah.
So it kind of
Yeah.
go back to like the no anti blackness, and want to like fit into like the whiteness that exists in many of our Latino subcultures too. So it's kind of like there's layers to why stuff happens, and like kind of like the only like right now, like the only Republican that makes sense is like Ana Navarro on The View.
Yeah.
Everybody else is like, well, what the hell's wrong with you? Pretty much.
Yeah. Yeah. Seriously. So it's a lot, but it's something that I'm glad that we're on the same page to make a difference.
No,
Yeah.
and it's only like one day at a time. No, we got
Yeah.
at least we got AOC talking up a storm.
Yeah.
but
Absolutely.
but also I think part of it too is that I can see people just voting for her just because she's a name, and luckily her two challengers, or at least one of the challengers, nobody knew who the person was, so like she won fairly easily. So it's like let's
Yeah.
so people are just going to keep voting for her just because lack of competitors against her, but at least she's a start. So it's like
Yeah.
hopefully we have like
Yeah.
a Latino president. Hopefully
Absolutely.
and hopefully in my lifetime, but
I know. Hopefully, right? Yeah. I mean, I am betting on it. I think we can do it.
Well, there's plenty of us
Yeah,
out here in the
not
U.S.
me.
So
I won't be running for president, but I mean, actually,
I just
maybe.
I joke around that I'll run, but I'm not.
I know. Yeah, that would be that would actually be very interesting. But no, I don't think I got it. I don't think I could do that.
No, because I know I'm gonna be like, what you talking about? Like, like you want this money for what? Like, I need the money
Yeah,
here. I need the money here.
I know. Yeah, I'd be too blunt. They don't want me up there. Yeah.
And if I'm from New York to you threatening, like what?
Yeah,
We
I
don't have
know.
a problem.
I know. Yeah.
I'll be a little inappropriate for the office.
I know. Someone's
It'd
got
be
to do
like
it. Someone's got to do it.
there'll be some coños and maldita seas in the like,
Yeah.
state of the union address.
Like un momento, un momento.
Like stop,
Yeah.
stop clapping. American people like they want to go to sleep. Be
I know, right?
clapping every couple of minutes for every other word.
Seriously. Oh, yeah. Yep, that'll happen.
So, this now this is not a one word answer, but describe 2022 for you.
Oh, geez. It's been phenomenal. I've had a great 2022. Of course, a lot of challenges, but I enjoy being challenged. I enjoy learning. So it's been a lot in my personal career growth. It's been a lot of fun, challenges in my personal life. It's been great. I became a Thea this year. So that is so exciting. My family is growing and they will not be getting any children from me anytime soon. So they can enjoy my nephews and everyone is great and vibing and I love it. But it has been actually a fantastic year. And it's just been a lot of fun. I mean, I've learned a lot this year. My husband and I just moved up to North Dallas. So we were just getting, this was our first year. We moved last year, but it was during Thanksgiving time. So to all of 2022 has just been kind of settling in, getting to know North Dallas area. And really just even we're newlyweds, so kind of just growing
Congrats.
together. Yeah, thank you. So it's just been a lot of just changes. And then I'm like, is this what your 20s is all about? You know, like career growth and personal life changes. I'm almost ready for it to all stop and like life to just be going like that. It's going like that, you know. But nonetheless, like I said, it's been a great year. I feel very good about wrapping up this year and starting 2023 on a positive note.
Now, what are some goals you have for 2023?
I was just talking to my team about this today. I'm like, y'all, I'm not much of a New Year goal setter because by January 5th, it's all over. You know, it's done. So I don't do all. I'm like, no, we're not. But I would say a major goal for my personal journey is to challenge myself more on not necessarily being like assertive, but being more direct and simple. I tend to be very detailed oriented, which is not a negative thing, but I would like to kind of talk less and listen more, and kind of gain as much knowledge as I possibly can, and also get also more into the community in Dallas and just all over the United States. So really just work on meeting new people, people that are in this with me to make a difference, and working on some self-improvement and self-growth.
Oh, that's beautiful. You can't go wrong with that.
Yeah. So we'll see what happens. By January 5th, we may have a whole nother set of goals. But as of right
There's
now,
nothing wrong with that.
I know as of right now, we're sticking to two simple things and we're just gonna leave it at that.
No, that's what's up.
Yeah, so I'm trying not to get too crazy with my goals because we do that often and then nothing works out.
Okay, three Kings Day is like new plan for the new year.
I know. Change everything. Yeah, so I'm excited.
Cool. Where can people find you?
You can find me on LinkedIn with my first name, Lindsay M. Malhotra, with my credentials, which is LMSW, LCDC, and PSS. You can find me on Instagram. My Instagram handle is Lindsay Malhotra. You can find me on Twitter. My Twitter handle is Lindsay Malhotra as well. And on Facebook, it's Lindsay Marie Malhotra. Or you can also email me at lmalhotra@nexusrecovery.org. Or my personal email is lindsay.ramon, RAMON, 1996 @gmail.com.
Awesome. Thank you so much for coming on.
Yes. Thank you so much for having me. It's been a blast talking to you. What you're doing is some awesome work. And I just can't wait to meet you in person.
Yes. In God's will, Dallas coming soon.
Yes, March. We'll be seeing each other soon. And then I'll talk about my goals. We'll update it then.
Absolutely. And if you see me with my Giants hat, just don't say anything.
Okay,
Just say
I'll
hi.
be quiet.